Three, four. Muito boa noite, amigos que estão nos acompanhando aqui no canal Tela Mix. Hoje nós temos uma presença muito especial que também será reportada na revista SP Acontece, que é a cantora norte-americana Dolette McDonald, que muito tempo cantou com celebridades ao redor do mundo, como Talking Heads, Sting, The Police e outras importantes bandas. Dolet, nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you as well, Luis.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I remember that you know Brazil. Okay, you were
I've been
here
to
in 1987.
Yes, I was. I was with uh, the tour for oh my God. Uh,
Sting.
I wasn't in Brazil with Sting, but I was in Brazil with the Freedom Tour, the one we did with
Okay.
all bands and everything. I don't remember actually going to Brazil with Sting.
I remember that you. I remember that you Sting in 1987 in Rio de Janeiro, Maracanã, and Morumbi, São Paulo, two biggest shows.
Amnesty International. I know I was in Brazil with Sting.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
are we? Am I? Because listen, my brain does not work the way it used to. So
Okay.
I may have come to Brazil with Sting on the Sting tour. I only remember the Amnesty International tour.
Okay, yes, yes. I remember when he was starting Nothing Like the Sun.
Mm-hmm.
Sure did. Okay, I will start with some questions about your incredible career. Okay, the first, Dolet, how did you start your relationship with the music, and after all that, your career, please.
Okay, my relationship with music. Wow, that's an interesting question to answer because my relationship with music started at a very young age. Um, I was raised in the Pentecostal church, and it's a long story, so I'll make it very short. I used to sing with my mother, who was an evangelist. Do you know what an evangelist? She would go around to churches preaching, and when she figured out that I could sing, I would sing before she preached. And incredibly, when I did sing, it appeared that the offering plate, the plate that they pass around for money, got bigger when I sang. So I sang in church most of my life, and then I went to a high school of music and art. And that's when my music knowledge sort of broadened a little bit. I became more knowledgeable about what was offered musically because I led a very sheltered life. So I was in a little box. I didn't know much about a lot of things, and music happened to be one of them. And when I went to this high school, I started seeing music differently and felt like there might be a possibility that I could sing professionally because they encouraged that. And once I did that, I moved to New York. I was born in Newark, New Jersey. After high school, I moved to New York and just to work and to sort of see what New York was like. And of course, it was like another world for me. And went to New York and slowly got involved in the music business.
Dolette, I think you got a lot of fans in Brazil, some with us online. Jose Roberto said, "Good evening, Luis and Dolette."
Oh, hi.
Romulo Aparecido said, "Excellent interview." Continues that.
That's
Claudia
sweet.
Oliva, "I'm your fan." Claudia
Yay!
Oliva.
It's always nice to have fans.
You
Especially,
are so much dear in Brazil.
oh, that's very sweet. I appreciate that.
Okay, now let's second questions, please. I imagine that Talking Heads was a great start in your career. Could you remember us something about that period, please?
Absolutely. Well, I had done several things before Talking Heads. Small things. I had done some disco. I had worked with some um, lesser known, unknown people singing backup. I also worked with Whitney Houston's mother, Sydney, Sissy Houston. I sang backup for her. And so I did a lot of little things before Talking Heads. And I met Buster Jones while I was doing those things. And Buster was, as you know, a bass player with Talking Heads. And Buster introduced me to Talking Heads. And so it was an interesting introduction to the real music business because Talking Heads, my first show with the Talking Heads was in Canada.
Okay.
And now you have to remember, and I didn't go into detail, but I was very naive. I hadn't been anywhere. I hadn't done anything much except for in, a small area. So my first show with Talking Heads, I flew in to the show in a helicopter. That was a first. And when I looked at the audience, I realized afterwards they gave me the number. There were 80,000 people.
Wow.
Going from playing small venues to a festival of 80,000 people was a little bit of a shock. And that was my introduction to Talking.
Okay.
Anything after that was,
okay.
Yeah.
I think it's so great. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got so many curios about that time? Could you tell us, please?
Tell so many.
Some curious about that time with Talking Heads.
Some stories.
Okay, yes.
Oh, okay.
Different stories.
Well, I don't have many stories because I was so focused on doing my job right. I don't know. Well, the interesting thing was that we traveled a lot by car. We traveled by plane. We traveled the world actually, which was fantastic because it was a first for me, another first for me, traveling the world. And I didn't go to college, so that's basically how I got my education, by traveling the world. And as far as stories are concerned, to generalize, we had a great time. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from Tina Weymouth, who was, without knowing it, quite a mentor of mine. And what I loved about working with the Talking Heads is that as a new person in the music industry, they allowed me to be me and to do Dolette. And of course, they had occasional notes that they would prefer this or that or the other, but they just allowed me to be joyful in what I had to contribute with them. So that was huge for me, because I don't think I would have had as much fun with them had I not been able to just be free and do me.
Okay, Dolette. Why your moment with the Talking Heads broke up?
Well, nothing is promised. You know, nothing is one of the things I learned early on in the music business. If you be grateful for the job that you have, because it's not promised the next time. However, in my situation with Talking Heads, um, I had a job opportunity, another job opportunity, and I discussed it with David Byrne. And the next thing I knew, I didn't have any job opportunities. I lost the job with Talking Heads. I lost the job with the other band that I was going to perform with, which happened to be Duran Duran. And so, and which turned out fantastic for me, because I ended up with the Police. So it doesn't get much better than that. But I didn't even know about that whole, there's a word that I use, I like to use, kerfuffle, which means that misunderstanding or drama-filled situation. I didn't know about that until later on, when I was doing a video with Sting. Duran Duran was doing another video in the same area, another studio, another soundstage. And I had gone on break, and Simon Le Bon came and said, Dolette. And he says, I'm really sorry about what happened. And I'm like, what happened? Because I didn't know, really. And Simon Le Bon told me that the manager of Talking Heads called the manager of Duran Duran and told him not to hire me. So that's what, but you know what? I'm grateful for it, because my life changed. I don't know how it would have been different with Duran Duran, but come on, I was with the Police. Hello. Doesn't get much better than that.
Okay, it's so interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dolette, after came the police, okay? Do you remember how was the invitation for you to play with the band, to sing with the band?
I had a manager at the time, and I just got a call from that particular manager at the time, and I didn't even know who the Police were. I had no idea. And so I got a cassette tape of their songs, and I learned, because it was like one day I got the call, the next day I had to be on a plane. So I learned their songs on the airplane on the way to California. And the day we got to California, we went into the studio. So it was one of those things that got to be ready.
Okay, Dolette, okay. It's the Brazilian connection, I think.
I know. I just sit here and wait, because I knew you'd be back.
We got 3G yet. It's terrible.
It's better than nothing.
Okay. That period, in the police, between shows, studios, and recording. How was living with the guys, Stuart Copeland and Summers and Sting?
I didn't live with them. I on stage. Um,
Okay,
no,
okay, understand. Okay,
it
sorry.
was fine. That was a joke. It was
Okay,
fine. It
it's
was,
Brazilian way to speak English. Sorry.
yeah, no, no worries.
Okay,
I, it was difficult sometimes because Sting had very specific ideas about how he wanted his singers to sound. And because I had never sung that way before, it was very difficult. I achieved it. I learned how, I'm a quick study, so I learned how to do it. And I learned another skill set at the same time. Sting did not want, at that time, because it's not like that now, but at that time, he didn't want his singers to have vibrato. And vibrato is that little thing in your voice, that little sound that, like that. He didn't want that. He wanted, without any of that, right? So I didn't know how to sing without vibrato, but I taught myself, and I had headaches, oh my God, after the show from trying to, I didn't have the training to be able to switch my voice into not having the vibrato. So I just did what I thought, and basically it worked. Whatever I did worked because I wanted that job. So I did what I needed to do. And it worked for me until it became natural for me to be able to do it. And I'm grateful for that because I would have never known how to do it had I not had that challenge.
okay. When the band broke up, did you expect it? That? Did you expect that?
No, um, I didn't. I had no idea. And probably because, we only saw them on stage. So we didn't see much interaction between the three guys other than the show, right? So
Okay.
the last night, we were in Australia on the last night of that particular synchronicity tour. And um, the next morning, and Sting was in a really bad mood for some reason. I don't know what was going on, but he was yelling at the singers, and it just was not normal for him. It was out of character for him. So the next day, we were at the airport. We were all going to our respective homes, and he and I would always get to whatever early. And I sat next to him and I asked him what was up. I'm like, what happened last night? What? And he said, he was saying that the singers were singing out of tune. And I said, I don't think so. And I said, I think it was more than that. And he said, well, it's okay. He said, I'm going to be doing some other things. This is how he said, I'm going to be doing some other things, and I'll give you a call. And I didn't believe it because, I think he was just trying to get rid of me so I can shut up. But he did. He ended up calling, or his representatives ended up calling, and I found out that he was doing a solo thing. But I had no idea the police were breaking it.
Okay. And how was the Sting's invitation to continue with him in his solo career?
Just like it was with the police, the same
The
situation.
same.
But the difference is his representatives called me directly, so they didn't go through another party. They just called me directly, which was great because that said that I had a relationship with them at that time. So,
Oh, okay. Did you participate in legendary albums with him, such as Bring on the Night, Dream of the Blue Turtles, and Nothing Like the Sun? Which your favorite and why?
um, I I don't know that it's my favorite, but I had the most fun doing Bring on the Night because there was the film involved. And it was mostly based on live performances. And that's where I have my most fun. I don't have as much fun in the studio. The energy on stage is different. Live is a whole other person for me. And so I think Bring on the Night is I had the most fun doing, for sure.
I got a particular with the Dream of the Blue Turtles. I grew up listening that album all the time. I think that is philosophical, so philosophical album with politicians' letters. Sting made like Russians and other songs like that. Do you think the motivation, Sting's motivations, uh, follow that because information came about philosophy?
You know what? I'm not in Sting's head. I can't say what he was thinking or not thinking.
Yeah.
I only did what I was told to do. So I can't answer any songs about Sting's writing or what he thought or anything like that because if I did, I'd just be lying because I don't know.
Okay. One hard question. What's your favorite song from those albums?
Oh wow. Um, from
Especially for singing.
for Bring on the Night, my favorite song is When the World is Running Down. And I'll tell you why, because of Kenny Kirkland's solo.
Oh,
That solo is what did it for me every single night on stage. Kenny Kirkland killed that solo. He made me have hair rising on my arms. I got goosebumps. I looked forward to that part of the show every single night. So it's that's my favorite.
okay. Doled, more one curious. Some people say that Sting is very demanding and a person hard to work. With this is true.
Okay.
Okay. Yes or no?
Well, and you have to realize that all those people saying that have never worked for him.
Okay.
Going by what they think he may be like. And that this has been the situation throughout his whole career. So, I just laugh because I don't know who they're talking about. I never had that experience with him. Sting and I were cool all the time. I think we might have had one disagreement in all the years I worked with him. And um, I love him. I've always loved him. I think he was a great boss to work for. It's nice to work with someone who knows what they want, but still allows you the freedom to contribute something of yourself to their project. So, you know, I don't know what I don't know what to tell you. I love him. I had a great time with him. And I will always be grateful for my time with him, because it's not lost on me how, what a charmed life I've led, and what a fantastic time I've had in my career. And because of Sting, I got many, many other opportunities. He was very instrumental in, you know, me moving forward with my career. So
it's so different for us Brazilian, because famous musicians in Brazil, after the show, after the recording, go to the bar with the band, you go to the party with the band. Here it's so different, our behavior. Okay, I remember you with him in 1987 in
okay.
two great shows, São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Do you remember that? I asked you the same offline.
Um, I don't remember specific shows unless something incredible happened that you know has not left my memory. But after doing so many shows, they all kind of gel together or meld together.
Okay, okay.
Tell me what you remember about them.
I remember the shows in Rio de Janeiro, Maracanã, huge show in stadium, and Morumbi in São Paulo, the same stadium when Queen made shows. Couple in 1981 and 1983. You sang with Queen in Maracanã and in Morumbi, São Paulo, here in São Paulo. I remember that.
Okay. Um, who do you remember who opened?
Organs, I don't know.
Okay.
Coca-Cola and some other some others managers in Brazil. It's more huge. They're huge. After the live, I will send the video for you.
Okay.
Okay, I remember it's a huge show.
Oh
Okay,
wow. Maybe I'll
Sting had
remember that.
Sting had long hair. Yeah, that time. Nothing like the sun. To start, nothing like the sun that time album. Okay. Um, Other question, please. After you had some works, I read something when you met Mick Jagger to record. Do you remember how was?
Well, we met. Mick came to one of our shows with Sting and asked Janice and I to sing on one of their songs, and and it was fantastic. It was awesome. He's such a gentleman, and he loves to make people feel comfortable. And we this I don't remember the name of the song, but what I do remember about the session was that he was dancing and he was just prancing around because it was up tempo song and he wanted a lot of energy, and he was being Mick Jagger like he was on stage. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. And about Cheers for Fears, your experience with they.
I recorded with them, and I recorded with them with Tessa Niles, who's a good friend still. I call her my sister. She's so great. We had a great time together, and we spent a day, in the studio with Roland. So yeah, I don't have much other than the fact that I really, really, really enjoyed it. We had one situation where he asked me, and this was, I guess, where my head was back then. He wanted me to sound like an old Black woman. And I thought it was a bit insulting. I didn't realize at the time and someone said he didn't have the words to tell me what he wanted to hear. And interestingly enough, when I heard Olita Adams, who sang with them, that's what he wanted to hear. And so I got it. And, and I'm glad I didn't really, have a reaction to it. I just filed it. But yeah, it's cool.
Okay, I imagine. Now, I'd like that you tell me about your solo career, please. You got album Spirit of Dolette McDonald, yours.
It's funny. It's not an album. It's not. I have this producer that I work with called Charlie Fishman, and he decided to put a compilation together of a lot of the work that I've recorded in the past. I sang backup on. I didn't know he was doing this, and it turned out to be so good because I didn't remember some of the songs that are on there. I had forgotten that I had done some of those songs. So it was so nice. And it's called The Spirit of Dolette McDonald, and it's on Spotify under FSQ. So yeah, I was so grateful for that because he reminded me of some of the fun that I had in the studio working with different singers and different producers. It was really, it's very cool.
Dolette, nowadays, what's your favorite band, your favorite singer? What
Oh,
are you listening?
oh, you know, there's not that much new stuff that I listen to. I'm going back and listening to old jazz recordings, and I spend
Jazz, okay.
time, yeah, because I'm involved with the Savannah Jazz Festival, and I'm on the board, and so I like jazz, but because I've not sung it a lot, I've had to learn a lot about jazz. So I'm immersed in that right now, trying to learn about the jazz artists and the genre itself because I didn't know as much as I could have. And the Savannah Jazz Festival is keeping it interesting for me, for sure. So
Okay.
I like some artists, but I don't really look for them, if you understand what I'm trying.
Do you know anything about Brazilian music?
Um, well, if I said yes, that would mean that I would be able to tell you, like, I know Javon, I know
Uh-huh.
Jobim, I know, um, oh, I know a Brazilian singer called Carol Montoya.
Okay.
I actually did a project with her last year, and she's great. Um, but I don't know a lot of Brazilian. I just know what I hear, and I know I love the music, and I know that it makes me feel something when I hear it. So I guess I know the classics.
All classics, okay.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. Dolette, could you leave a message here? my message for us Brazilian about the moment we are living with the pandemic and with so many troubles we get, and for we get hope in the future, please.
Wow. Well, I can only to my Brazilian family. I give you what I know. And what I know for sure is that life is not going to always be this way. That life always brings us stuff, and I say stuff because I would like to say another word, but it wouldn't be too nice to say that word. So life brings us stuff. And it's not the stuff that life brings us that we have control over. It is how we respond to what life gives us. And what I know for sure is that our response will make the situation easier to deal with, or it will make the situation much, much harder to deal with. We all over the world, everybody's hurting, everyone. And some of us are luckier than others. Some of us aren't hurting as badly as others, but we're all hurting in some way or another. The pandemic has touched every single one of us. So we can deal with it with anger, frustration, hate, or we can choose love. And I always choose love.
Okay.
That's how I deal with things. I deal with it from a loving perspective. I don't like it all the time. It's not fun all the time, but I know that if I deal with it in a positive way, it'll be easier for me in the long run. So think about
and with music all the time.
all the time.
All the time. Okay, Dolet, thank you for your presence with us. It's a great pleasure, very, very great pleasure. And thank you for your presence. And maybe see you in the next time.
Thank
Online
you.
or
Thank you. And to all my Brazilian fans, I love you. Thank you for believing in me. And I hope that I get a chance to see you in Brazil in this life.
Ok. Thank you very much. Vamos ficando por aqui, então, na nossa live com a cantora Dolette McDonald. Lembrando a todos que nas próximas semanas nós teremos muito mais aqui no canal Tela Mix. Até lá!